Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Hope you're all doing well. I'm Heidi. I lead the marketing team at adMarketplace. We are a search advertising company connecting consumers and brands off of the legacy search engines. And I'm so excited and happy to chat with Ken this morning. I will give Ken the platform and stage right now to introduce himself and give a little info about his background.
There we go. You got me now?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to wait like 30 seconds for the room to clear because I like the attention. And you see as I kind of kick my J's up. So thanks for hanging out with us. My name's Ken Turner. I am the CMO of Fanatics Collectibles. I'll explain what Fanatics Collectibles is and what Fanatics, the ecosystem, in a second here. But let me tell you just 30 seconds on my career journey. So I started in finance. I'm a marketing dude. You realize that finance wasn't my thing. Although I do love Excel. I still have a shirt that says I heart Excel. It's a great tool. So I started in finance, did a career switch, and started at SC Johnson, working on things like Super Bubbles, Wave, Index, which is a great foundational marketing brand. And then got a call to move over to a brand called Red Bull, which at some point, maybe afterwards, we'll talk about that transition. I'll tell you, I probably quit 4 times in the first 6 months working for Red Bull, but ended up staying for 8 years and ended as the CMO of North America at Red Bull, and I know we'll talk about that a little bit later. And then under, I'd say about almost a year ago, had a great meeting with 2 individuals, Michael Rubin and Mike Mahan, to talk a little bit about the vision of Fanatics and insert Fanatics Collectibles. So let me tell you a little bit about the ecosystem that is Fanatics. Fanatics is a different organization now than it was 2 years ago, than it was a year ago, maybe even 6 months ago. So if you go online, you'll see there's 3 businesses, there's 4 businesses, there's 5 businesses. So let me just tell you what it is. Fanatics has a holding company. That holding company basically houses 3 businesses. There's Fanatics Sportsbook, which is betting and gaming, which is relatively new as we continue to bring down new states. We have Fanatics Commerce, and commerce is when you think about Fanatics, I want to buy a jersey, Mitchell & Ness. It is that. So when you go to fanatics.com, think Fanatics Commerce. Primary in terms of marketing is really performance marketing. And then there's the Fanatics Collectibles business. So what is collectibles? Think about things like Topps trading cards. So physical, digital assets that are collectible, including things like merchandise. Now within those 3 businesses, there's also a couple of other businesses. There's Fanatics Live. So Fanatics Live is live commerce. So where content meets community, commerce happens. And so right now it's mostly you can buy trading cards, but you can also buy things like sneakers there. And then our last, I'd say business, not last, but definitely for a lot of folks in the room, one of the more exciting ones is Fanatics Live events. So think about the Lollapalooza of sports, or think about Comic-Con as it relates to sports. And that's kind of the business that is Fanatics Live events. That first event that will be branded Fanatics will also be actually be WrestleMania in April. Fanatics will also have its own live experiences. Think about, again, Fanatics Fest that will happen sometime in the fall. So that's the ecosystem that is Fanatics. Sorry, I'm almost done. So collectibles. So what's the remit of collectibles? I mentioned on commerce, that is it is mostly performance marketing. If you think about traditional marketing as the way it sits with respect to product marketing, experiences, building brands, earned media that we just kind of talked about, paid media, that is the remit that is Fanatics Collectibles. It's one of the only businesses within our ecosystem that runs the gamut with respect to marketing and the things that we do. And so that's my responsibility. My responsibility, digital, physical assets, running the gamut, from everything from brand marketing to experiences, advertising, and commerce. Is that cool?
That's great. That's actually such a great explanation of the business and all the different pieces under it. So hope you guys enjoyed the explanation as much as I did. And I think the burning question I had after that was, do you use Excel on Mac or PC?
I'm a Mac dude. I mean,
Even with Excel?
years ago, using Excel on a Mac was like getting a root canal. But now there's a lot of improvements, so I feel comfortable. Not only Mac, I don't need Excel as much as that.
Right, you have Google Sheets.
If I'm in Excel, it's probably a problem somewhere. It's all good.
Awesome. So mentioning kind of your career progression, and you've been at Fanatics Collectibles just almost about a year now, but would love to kind of talk about and kind of discuss your experience from transitioning from Red Bull as a marketing organization and your kind of experiences there to now Fanatics Collectibles, and how that's kind of different in terms of looking at marketing, thinking about marketing, and how the two are similar and different.
Yeah. So I don't know if anyone here has worked for Red Bull or with Red Bull, but it is a fascinating organization when it comes to marketing and Red Bull. The folks from Red Bull don't talk a lot. Like I haven't been on this stage in the past years because that's kind of the Red Bull approach. But it is a fascinating marketing organization. Everything is for the consumer, and you think about the consumer. You are focused on marketing and building experiences for that consumer in real life. The other thing about Red Bull that I like to tell people is it's like, I'm from Wisconsin, it's like driving on the highway in the Midwest with no one else around. You can go as fast as you want to, but it is flat. It is flat and it is straight. There are no curves. So Red Bull has this marketing system that's a juggernaut that you just go. And you don't really recognize or see anything else around you, which is beautiful. And the folks there are really good. Like they're awesome. To the extent we were talking about earlier, like I don't know if you all heard that there's this big Fanatics Super Bowl party that happens tomorrow. I actually didn't know about that party.
Trying to get some tickets.
I'm telling you, I didn't know about that party until last week because Red Bull, the only thing you think about are Red Bull things. You don't really think about what's happening outside of you, which can be good. As you focus on Red Bull, but also represents an opportunity. So enter an organization like Fanatics and Fanatics Collectibles, where sports and culture have an intersection, culture, design, dance, fashion, and music have an intersection with technology. And the opportunity at Fanatics was really how do you build a marketing organization that allows you to really surround the consumer, the fan, the collector with experiences, an engagement that is worthy of probably the most passionate consumer that exists, which is a fan. So there are fans of Red Bull, which is great. There are fans of Red Bull Racing, which is also great. But being able to kind of tap into a fan of any sport, of any league, be it the Chiefs, the 49ers, or Arsenal, is a really, really cool place to be. And so for me, a couple of things that I would say have been key with respect to transition. Really just solid branding. And so when you think of a Red Bull brand position, just the foundation of things. It's promise, it's positioning, it's essence, it's assets, all those things that make a brand a brand. But then it's also media. So if you start to pay attention a little bit, you'll see Fanatics as an organization, but then more specifically, Fanatics Collectibles really doing some things as it relates to media, doing some things and experimenting on television where we haven't before, using some things like athletes where we haven't used them before. And then the last area is it's hard to hire a dude from Red Bull and not talk about experiences. And so one of the things that we're doing a bit more frequently is experiential, and then leveraging our relationships with leagues as well as partners and athletes to build experiences that are unforgettable for the end consumer, the collector, and the fan.
Great, thank you. And actually building upon that, especially at an event like Super Bowl this week, and kind of viewing a lot of the Super Bowl ads that we've seen from the different brands that are represented here, and brand innovators, how are you looking at from a Fanatics Collectibles standpoint on, you've listed out all of your responsibilities through all the different functions within marketing. What are your priorities right now to really get the growth going and also kind of be relevant during a an event like Super Bowl?
Yeah, it's the ads are great. I mean, they're like theater now, right? Like they're just super engaging. You kind of want to sit on the edge of your seat and you want to record some things so you don't miss something as you go. They're almost as big as the game, right? Which is really cool. It's a clear opportunity for those brands who want to generate awareness and do so very quickly to kind of to buy into the Super Bowl investment. And I'm one who believes that that investment pays off. With that said, however, the cool thing about the Super Bowl, and I'll start with Fanatics, the cool thing about the Super Bowl is there are two teams who are branded and who are wearing jerseys that we sell. And so for most of the time, even though there are 30-second spots and maybe even 45, I think there's even a 60-second spot as it relates to the Super Bowl, most of the eyeballs will be on that game. And then there will be a winner. And then people will buy jerseys. Right? And so for us, any big event is a cool opportunity for advertising, as long as there are folks who are playing the game. We don't necessarily need to invest with respect to paid media. However, the opportunity then comes with earned media. So what do you do afterwards? If you have a relationship with one of the athletes, you have a relationship with Brock Purdy or Patrick Mahomes, what can you do afterwards in order to continue that moment, that magic moment? And for us on collectibles, while we don't necessarily have the license yet to do things with respect to the NFL, it doesn't preclude us from still having relationships with athletes where we can do things like really, really cool content to really start to educate folks about the opportunity of collecting. Does that make sense?
Definitely. And I think, your relationship maybe can also extend to Taylor Swift and having her be a brand ambassador for collectibles.
I'm going to be embarrassed. I'll be embarrassed to admit this. I do know who Taylor Swift is. I'm not going to say that. But there was a moment where Taylor Swift had something on, and I don't remember which game it was. That was actually sold on Fanatics, and I didn't know it until people started texting me saying, "Hey, it's gone. Can you get it for me?" And I had no idea what they were talking about. So Taylor Swift is an amazing individual that has a lot of power when it comes to brands.
Definitely. Is that kind of how you're looking at influencer marketing from collectible side, or is that something that you'll kind of build out into later on?
The real answer is I don't know. Right now, our influencers are athletes. So from an overall perspective, we've got 3,567 athletes. And some of those athletes may be the 12th round pick in the AAA team for the Minnesota Twins. And some of those athletes, if you've seen recently, are athletes like the great athletes like LeBron James. And so being able to use those athletes in order to instill authenticity, credibility, but also amplify some of the things we do have been great. And so we still want to make sure we use those individuals as our influencer. However, I will say we also want to create those moments that are social. And you don't necessarily need an athlete to create a moment that is social, because there are influencers, even micro-influencers, because we know it's not necessarily only who follows you, it could be who follows the people who follows you that create those moments. And those moments create impact that kind of live on after some of the things that we do.
Definitely. And I think that impact is really what creates a lot of memories. You kind of capture those personal connections and emotions through it. And as leading the collectibles CMO, how do you think about collectibles in your own personal life? Are there things that you collect yourself and are kind of have an affinity to?
Yeah, it's no surprise I collect sneakers.
What did you think about the Todd's gold sneakers before?
I've seen those before. I think those are his lucky sneakers, to be honest. But what's cool about collecting is every collector has a story. Every item has a story. It may not mean anything to you, Haidi, but it means something to me. So I'll tell you two stories. One, my shoe story. So my favorite shoe is the Jordan 6. The Jordan 6, it's not a great shoe. It's a cool shoe, but it's not a great shoe. The sneaker game here is pretty strong. I see a lot of ones. I think some people have some 4s around here. But no, I don't see a lot of 6s. It's important to me because it's the first sneaker I could actually buy with my own money. And so out of my Jordan collection, I have more 6s than anything. And I still have the first Jordan 6 that I ever bought and wore. So that's super important. It's a memory for me. The second thing is I have a 1988 Darryl Strawberry card, trading card. It's a Topps trading If you scan that card, if you look on eBay, you can get that card for $7.52. It is not a valuable card, but it's valuable to me because when I was younger, I wanted to be Daryl Strawberry. Like I remember buying a pack of cards, and I got that Daryl Strawberry, and I kept it, and it's all dog-eared and style, but it's still in the case. And so it's those memories from a collector standpoint, and it's those journeys from a collector standpoint that really is kind of what we're trying to do with what we're doing on collectibles, to really highlight the passion that those collectors have.
Definitely. And I think from even a lot of the recent topics in the news media, talking about nostalgia, right, and millennials and kind of going back to doing things in a simpler way or simpler times and all that. But I think from a collectibles or Fanatics Collectibles, especially purchasing tops and trying to more digitally disrupt the collectibles industry overall, how do you kind of balance that, nostalgia and also making sure that it's creating more efficiency, it's creating kind of even more fandom around collectibles overall?
Yeah, good question. What's interesting is if you think overall about balance, just the balance between Fanatics and a brand called Topps. Fanatics, although Fanatics has been around for 12 years, it's been really more recently that's for us to start to hear more about Fanatics. When you think about things like nostalgia and heritage, that is Topps. Topps has been around for 75 plus years. And so the balance even between the two brands is something that has to be carefully managed. When it comes to disruption from a digital standpoint, I would say it's along the consumer journey. I wouldn't say that the digital disruption comes with product because the physical asset is still what has the extrinsic and the intrinsic value. You can complement it with some of the things you want to do digitally, but at the end of the day, you still want to have that physical asset. And so where you have the opportunity for digital is along that journey. From the time that I start to think about, I want a Brock Purdy card, or I want a Daryl Strawberry card, to the time that you acquire it, to the time that you choose to store it in a vault, like PWCC. If you choose to use it as an investment for an intrinsic value, the time that you choose to auction it off. All those things have opportunity for digital disruption, but yet still the physical asset remains.
And how have you seen the kind of the industry embrace Fanatics Collectibles as you guys are kind of going in more and kind of buying up a lot of the pieces as well?
I would say it's been a tale of two Fanatics. As you start the acquisition, especially when it's a company like Fanatics that comes in and says, hey, we think there's some things we can do with respect to up-leveling the industry, both through experiences as well as media. You've got people who don't like change, right? And so the first thing is here comes big bad Fanatics, and they're going to ruin everything about the hobby. And then you realize the folks who are actually part of Fanatics and the folks who are managing the business are collectors themselves. And you kind of see the passion. Like if any of you ever meet or run into Mike Mahan, ask him about Ricky Henderson. And he's got a pretty good poker face until you say Ricky Henderson. And then you can't get the dude to stop. And he tells you all about his Ricky Henderson card. It's like the passion for collectors in the community is unbelievable. And the collectors feel that passion. And so now, more recently, it's been, I would say, embraced. If anyone's ever been to a card show, a trading card show, if you go to one now, or even 5 months ago, you would think that someone transformed you into the 70s because it looks the same as it did in the 70s. But not anymore. So what we started to do is really up-level even some of the trade shows and say, hey, there's an opportunity to do things that really embrace the collector, not for the benefit of Fanatics Collectibles, but really more for the benefit of the collector.
That's awesome. And how do you kind of, going back a little bit, how do you map out that consumer journey for a lot of the collectors? Is it, you kind of start with already like the alpha, right? The little kid, they have kind of an aspirational view of certain players and certain sports, and then kind of building all the way through of collecting, even college athletes and all the newcomers.
It's a bit of all of the above. There's so many trading cards. Like I mean, when you think about the fact that it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, but at the end of the day, it's still like a 2.5 by 3 piece of cardboard, right? Like it's just fascinating. But you have to demystify what a collecting journey is, because first you have to understand what it is you want to collect, how to collect, where to find, where to store. So what we've done is really more attempt more vertical integration from the production of the card to the vaulting of the card. And then in terms of consumer groups, again, it's any and all. Right now, the core consumer is an older consumer because they are the ones who remember times. But what happened a couple of years ago, especially at the time of COVID, is parents started to introduce their children to this idea of trading cards. Folks started to look in their basements and their attics and found the things and realized, oh, there was a reason why I have these things, and they're special and important to me. And so being able to tap into that, but also leveraging our partners. So we're partners with, as an example, MLB, and we're partners with Little League. So it gives us an opportunity to really embrace the housing, but also introduce new collectors to what we're doing.
Great. And do you see kind of collectibles expanding the categories of businesses a bit, like, you know, even to sneakers and kind of competing with StockX and Coach?
Maybe it's not our core competency. So what I would say is I came to Fanatics Collectibles to really do 3 things: increase the number of collectors in the category, to develop culturally relevant and inspirational marketing, and to be world-class full stop, whatever that means and how we define it. And so increasing the number of collectors in the category really means all collectors. It doesn't matter to me if you collect art, you collect cars, if you collect sneakers. There's something about collecting that has, again, intrinsic value, and there's something very emotional about it. And so right now, our core competency, and probably where we'll stay for the foreseeable future, is physical, digital assets as it relates to sports, both with respect to trading cards and also memorabilia. And that's probably where we'll stay. But it doesn't mean that I can't go to a sneaker con and have a conversation with a sneakerhead about opportunities to also collect other things.
Great, awesome. And to wrap things up here, a little bit more about you. We want to know favorite sport. Rapid fire.
I am a football dude.
Football dude.
Yeah.
Favorite team.
I'm a Steelers fan. Like, it's just hard to not be a Steelers fan. I know I'm from Wisconsin. I get that, but I'm still a Steelers fan.
I was gonna say Packers.
So here's the story. My dad grew up when the Packers were horrible, and that dude was angry all the time. And I said, I am never going to be angry like that. I'm going to root for another team. And it's Steelers, and now I'm angry all the time. So my son's a Chargers fan. It's crazy.
Favorite player.
That's a tough one. I'm going to go with Dwayne Wade.
Got it. Yeah.
He's a Marquette dude. So.
Yeah. No. Awesome. I think we can turn it over to the audience for questions. Thank you so much.
You got it.
Start here. Thanks. Great session. Want to find out in the collector universe, you've kind of you touched on the nostalgia as kind of a driver for a lot of people, right? It is for me. On the other side of that, you've got the speculator, right? How do you create events and actually marketing messaging and everything that appeals to both audiences? Because I feel like there's a confluence of both, but do you differentiate between the people that are just buying a Tom Brady rookie card because they think it's going to go up in value in a few years and they're going to resell it, and then those people that the Darryl Strawberry card is really meaningful for?
Yeah, it's a great question. It is a delicate balance. What I would tell you is, as a marketer, I don't focus on the speculation. Specifically because I create the cards, right? So being able to have a conversation about what I think it would be worth would put me in a really weird position, right? Because then I'm just pumping up the value, and it may not or may not be true. But I do watch it, and I am fascinated. I mean, Matt talked about Caitlin Clark, and I don't know if y'all saw this. Caitlin Clark card just sold for $80,000. I think it was $78,000, which is fascinating. She's an awesome player. And that's a great card, $80,000. So I would never say, hey, that's the card sold for $80,000. But I like it on social. I use our handles to highlight the fact that Caitlin's an amazing athlete and probably the best basketball player. Notice I didn't say female, but the best basketball player on the planet right And so that's kind of what we do. We just like to highlight it, but it never is something that we focus on. Did I answer your question?
Thank you.
Hey Ken, I'm Marty Shalata with Ampersand. You mentioned the Shield, that you don't yet have a relationship with the NFL. Curious if that's, it seems like that's something you're considering or pursuing. How would that, is that something you're looking at? Are you looking at the NCAA? Is there a tie-in with NIL? How do you see that like changing your business?
So we do NIL right now. We have a product that's really more of a prospecting product from a trading card standpoint called Bowman. And so we have NIL deals that allows us to leverage some of those athletes, like a Caleb Williams or Drake May specifically as it relates to football. We will actually have NFL licenses, so that doesn't actually kick in until 2026, I believe. And so right now our focus is on really on preparation, like how do you prepare for something that is as big as the NFL. And then what we attempt to do is figure out how do we do things right now, especially globally as the NFL looks to expand, to make sure we're ready when we actually have a license. Well, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.